Producing a single kilogram of raw wild honey demands an extraordinary sacrifice from every worker bee in a colony. Entomological field survey flight data confirms each tiny insect must complete 100,000 separate foraging trips, traveling thousands of collective miles and gathering nectar from countless jungle blooms just to yield that small batch of golden honey. Today, no nature observation, no scientific research, no peaceful witnessing of nature's quiet labor takes place here. Your presence atop these trees is not intended for studying pollination cycles or documenting hive behaviors. Only one high-stakes objective drives every movement atop the rainforest heights: to harvest honey from the wild beehive, hidden deep within the unreachable upper canopy. Thick humidity from the Southeast Asian primary rainforest clings to every inch of exposed skin, a heavy damp weight that slows breathing and muffles all distant sounds. A colossal ancient tree rises straight from the jungle floor, with a solid trunk measuring more than 1 meter in diameter. Its bark polished smooth by decades of torrential monsoon rains and relentless tropical winds. No modern safety harness, backup climbing rope, or aerial protective gear secures your body to the vertical, unforgiving wooden surface. Your only grip and support come from sharpened wooden wedges, hammered deep into pre-drilled notches in the tree's tough bark. Each strike of the small wooden mallet sends sharp vibrations rippling through the trunk and down your spine. Every wedge creaks under your full body weight, emitting a constant low-frequency groan that signals imminent slippage with every slight shift of your balance. One wrong move, one slipping wedge, one moment of unsteady footing, and nothing will cushion your fall to the unforgiving jungle ground far below. Your gaze lifts toward the endless tree canopy, fading into the hazy tropical sky. Dozens of meters above your current position, a thin, fragile overhanging side branch juts horizontally from the main trunk, unable to bear the weight of any large mammal for more than a few seconds. Attached to that precarious branch hangs a massive, dark tumor like wild beehive. Its surface is densely covered with thousands of wax cells, with countless unseen bees moving actively inside the dark combs. Deep, jagged claw marks scar the bark along the entire trunk, leading straight to the hive, deep gouges carved into the solid wood by sun bears and other top-tier jungle predators. These permanent scars tell an undeniable story. Even the most powerful apex hunters of the rainforest have attempted to raid this hive, and every single one has retreated in brutal, humiliating defeat. No creature that dares to challenge this colony leaves unscathed. If you were hanging 150 feet in the air with zero safety gear, looking at those claw marks left by defeated apex predators just above your hands, what would be your first move? Slow, deliberate climbing movements carry you closer to the upper canopy edge, within clear sight of the massive wild hive perched on the fragile side branch. A tightly bundled smoke bundle, crafted from dried jungle herbs and slow, burning resinous wood is ignited in one hand, the traditional method used for generations to calm, disorient wild bee colonies before harvesting. Thin, wispy plumes of white smoke rise at first, drifting gently toward the hive and softening the low hum of resting bees. Atmospheric conditions at extreme rainforest altitudes never stay stable, no matter how calm the initial moments seem. A violent, unexpected gust of high-altitude wind materializes out of nowhere, sweeping across the treetops in a single explosive burst. The protective smoke dissipates instantly, scattered and torn apart by the powerful wind current before it can even reach the hive's outer defense layer. All cover, all distraction, all natural protection vanishes in less than a second. Your exposed body sits directly in the unobstructed flight path of the entire wild bee colony. A low, rumbling vibration builds in the air around the tree, growing louder and deeper with every heartbeat. Tens of thousands of feral wild bees erupt from the hive in synchronized mass mobilization, abandoning all hive duties and shifting immediately into full defensive combat mode. A swirling black tornado of living insects forms in midair. A dense dark cloud expands outward and slams directly into your body in an instant. A deafening crackling sound surrounds your protective suit, The noise of millions of bee bodies slamming against the fabric like a relentless downpour of tiny hard projectiles. The constant, rapid pattern never stops. A non-stop percussion beating against every part of your gear, your mask visor, and the gaps between your clothes and skin. Countless tiny bee bodies crawl and buzz along every seam, searching for any small opening to penetrate the protective layers and reach the flesh underneath. Both hands locked tightly around the rough tree trunk, fingers digging hard into the bark to grip firmly and keep your suspended body from falling. You have no free movement, no spare hand to swat away the relentless insects crawling toward your face and mask gaps. Retreating downward means abandoning the entire harvest mission after hours of dangerous climbing. And the swarm will follow your every descending meter, stinging non-stop the entire way down. Forcing the honeycut amid an active bee attack will only agitate the colony further, triggering mass suicidal stinging behavior from every bee in the swarm. No safe or neutral option exists in this moment. No chance to pause and regroup. The high altitude leaves no room for hesitation, no time for careful planning, only an immediate life or death decision. The smoke is gone. Millions of stingers are swarming your visor. Do you risk the cut or abort the mission? Final resolve hardens amid the buzzing chaos, and you lift the sharp harvesting knife toward the massive beehive to make the intended cut. Swarming bees cloud your protective visor, blocking clear vision and distorting all depth perception. The blade shifts half an inch off its target, a tiny misalignment that rewrites all survival outcomes in an instant. Instead of slicing through the sealed honey storage combs filled with ripe wild honey, the sharp steel edge cuts directly into the hive's core brood zone, the protected nursery area where all bee larvae and unhatched pupae develop. This single small cut triggers the colony's most extreme biological defense response, the one trigger no beehive can ever tolerate. High concentration, alarm pheromones flood the air immediately after the brood zone ruptures. These invisible chemical signals spread rapidly through the surrounding atmosphere and activate every wild bee's primal killing instinct. The colony's behavioral mode shifts instantly from passive nest defense to relentless, no retreat, lethal hunting. A single sharp stinger pierces the weakened section of your protective gear, sinking deep into the soft flesh at the base of your neck. Intense burning heat erupts along your nerve endings. The moment venom enters your bloodstream, a searing physical pain radiating across the entire back of your head and down your spine. No psychological fear registers, only raw, unfiltered physical nerve trauma, with every muscle in your body tensing sharply in immediate biological reaction to the toxic intrusion. A standard slow climbing descent becomes a guaranteed death sentence with the swarm in full hunting mode. No other escape options remain. A simple rough hemp rope securely tied to the upper tree branch becomes your only emergency evacuation lifeline. You grip the coarse rope tightly and begin the fast rope descent, sliding rapidly and uncontrollably down the rough fibrous surface. Raw hemp fibers instantly abrade and tear the skin on both palms, flesh scraping away with every foot of downward movement. Gravity pulls your body downward faster than expected, turning the controlled descent into a half-slide, half-fall crash toward the jungle floor. Your feet hit the muddy rainforest ground with heavy impact. The fall's force rattles every bone in your body and sends sharp shock waves blasting through both knee joints. Your legs buckle under the brutal gravitational force, barely supporting your weight as you collapse forward onto the soft, wet mud. You hit the dirt, bones rattling, but the buzzing is getting louder. What did you miss? Solid ground underfoot brings no safety, no reprieve, no end to the mortal threat. The alarm pheromones coating your skin and clothing act as a permanent tracking set, a deadly beacon guiding thousands of wild bees straight to your position without pause or distraction. The massive swarm abandons the canopy, dives down to jungle level, and maintains unrelenting pursuit, with every bee locked onto your chemical signature and marked to eliminate you. A real-life deadly jungle escape unfolds across treacherous terrain, with no safe paths, no hiding spots, and no shortcuts to shelter. Every step forward is a desperate fight to stay ahead of the black cloud of stinging insects closing in from behind. Thick, tangled tree roots protrude from the mud everywhere underfoot, Hidden trip hazards designed to send any running person crashing to the ground. Deep, murky mud pits dot the landscape, filled with soft sinking muck, capable of trapping your legs and halting all movement permanently. The venom spreads steadily through your bloodstream with every heartbeat, toxic particles circulating throughout your circulatory system and disrupting all bodily functions. Your vision narrows into a tight tubular tunnel, with peripheral sight fading completely as the first major symptom of anaphylactic shock takes hold. Airway tissues swell and constrict from internal inflammation. Every inhalation draws in sharp, painful air that feels like swallowing shards of broken glass. Thick jungle vines snag and tear at your clothing and skin with every running stride. Swarming stray flying insects blur the line between sight and darkness, swirling constantly in front of your face to obscure all forward vision and form a living death barrier, blocking every escape route. Your throat is closing up. Your legs are numb from the venom. What pushes you forward when your body is screaming to shut down? Deafening rushing water grows louder with every running step. The roar of powerful whitewater, rapids echoing off the steep rocky canyon walls directly ahead. The jungle terrain ends abruptly at a sharp cliff edge, a sheer drop overlooking a violent river churning with fast-moving whitewater and lined with sharp, jagged hidden reefs beneath the surface. The black swarm of wild bees stays less than 10 meters behind, closing the distance every second, their buzzing vibration loud enough to rattle the bones in your chest. No other escape paths exist, no side trails, no hidden shelters, no way to circle back or outrun the relentless pursuit any longer. Only two final options remain, both carrying extreme risk and neither guaranteeing survival. The first choice requires closing your eyes and leaping off the cliff directly into the raging whitewater rapids below. Immediate submergence beneath the river's surface will block all bee pursuit in an instant, with water acting as a natural barrier against the flying swarm. The violent current and sharp hidden reefs create an almost certain risk of broken bones, severe impact trauma, or fatal drowning the moment your body hits the water. The second choice means continuing to run along the cliff's edge, atop a tangled maze of muddy mangrove roots. The thick wet mud and twisted overlapping roots form an unstable trapping ground, where a single misstep will lock your body in place, leaving you immobilized and exposed to millions of lethal stings from the closing swarm. This is your final choice. What do you do? The swarm is 5 seconds away. Jump into the jagged rapids or risk the mangrove maze. Drop your choice in the comments, and let's see how many of you make it out alive.